Hey guys, what is going on today? Bojo here. A little bit of a different setup, as you guys can see around me today. I'm in my room. But today, not really going to be focused on having a very structured video today, but we're just going to go over the entire 30-team NHL protected lists today. Now, it is Sunday, it's Father's Day. Happy Father's Day out there to all the dads. But all the lists were finally revealed today of both the available and protected players for each NHL team. It is on tsn.com, has a really good list of it, so I threw that link in the description if you guys want to go check it out, but I'm on the website as you guys can see. And we're going to go through all 30 NHL teams, just taking a brief look at all their protected players and my thoughts on it. Also, make sure you guys stay tuned to my channel as well, because I will be taking all those protected players, probably doing cap friendly because I like that site a little bit better than TSN's draft tool, and we'll be doing a mock Vegas expansion draft for the Vegas Golden Knights using these lists without any trades obviously going into effect. But let us begin and let's check out what teams and players decide to do for their lists. So we'll start off with the Anaheim Ducks, and their protected players are as follows: Andrew Cogliano, Ryan Getzlaf, Ryan Kessler, Corey Perry, Raquel Silverberg, Vermette, and then Bieksa, Fowler, Lindholm, and John Gibson. Now, the one name that definitely stands out to me right away is Kevin Bieksa, obviously because he had a no-trade clause, so they were forced to protect him. And then if we look at their unprotected lists, players, Sami Vatanen's name right there. That's a big one. Josh Manson, too. That's another big one. I think that if the Ducks don't have a trade in place with the Vegas Golden Knights in order to convince them not to take Sami Vatanen, I think Josh Manson goes to Vegas in this certain circumstance. I don't really see any other player on this list that I think Vegas will be interested in. They're all pretty much either older echelon players or not really anything great. Bernier, maybe. That'd be debatable as maybe a third goaltender after the season that he had, filling in for the injured John Gibson, but right now I don't see it. I think a defenseman definitely goes from Anaheim, either Sami Vatanen or Josh Manson goes. Alright, as we move on to the Arizona Coyotes, Nick Cousins, who was acquired from Philadelphia, Anthony Duclair, Martinook, Tobias Rieder, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Goligoski, Murphy, Luke Schenn, and Chad Johnson, who they acquired from the Flames. So Arizona went with the 8 skaters option, which is very interesting. And let's see, anybody notably on their available list? Shane Doan, they're not going to take an aging player like that. Ram Verbata, that's an interesting name. McCulloch, Domingue is up there as well. I think Arizona's sitting pretty good. They're sitting pretty good. If I had to choose somebody, maybe Jamie McGinn. That would probably be my guess as to who they take from Arizona. That'd be interesting, but I don't think Arizona has anything to worry about. They're not losing anybody extremely big from Vegas who they decide to choose. Alright, the Boston Bruins. Backes, Bergeron, Krejci, Marchand, Nash, Pasternak, Spooner, Chara, Krug, Miller, and Tuukka Rask. Okay, so that's a pretty decent list right there. Subban will be available, Joe Morrow, and Colin Miller, and Adam McQuaid. Those are 3 really decent defensemen there from Boston that they're going to let go. Jimmy Hayes could be another interesting player right there. Hey, Zach Ronaldo, 3rd round pick, right? Yeah, I think if Vegas decides to go with a forward, they probably take Jimmy Hayes, I would think, from Boston. If they go for a defenseman, maybe Colin Miller or Joe Morrow. Adam McQuaid tends to take a lot of penalties, fighting major stuff, things like that. If they want a tough guy, go for McQuaid, but Colin Miller or Joe Morrow, I think, would be somebody who Vegas would look at, unless they want to go for a prospect goaltender and take Malcolm Subban. But Boston, they're okay. They're not going to lose anybody extremely bad. Alright, the Buffalo Sabres. Tyler Ennis, Foligno, Gergensons, Kane, Larson, O'Reilly, Okposo, Beaulieu, McCabe, Ristolainen, and Robin Lehner. So obviously they picked up Beaulieu yesterday with a 3rd round pick. Very good deal for them. And let's see, anybody notable? William Carrier, Nick Delorier. Buffalo has a lot of good, like, young, really good forwards that I think Vegas could maybe want to look at. But their defense, not bad either. Bogosian's available. That's interesting. I think his contract's way too long. Franzen, Georges, Kulikov, Nielsen, Allmark. Two decent goaltenders. Ooh, that one's tough. Vegas could go with a really like solid like forward prospect. They could take like William Carrier and Nick Delorier. They wouldn't take Brian Gianta. Matt Molson, maybe, if they have to get up to the cap floor. That could be doing Buffalo a huge favor in terms of salary cap relief, but I don't know if I see it all too much. Maybe I think defense from Buffalo. I don't know. I'll take a look at it, though, when we go to my mock draft. All right, Calgary. Let's see. Backlund, Bennett, Ferland, Furlick, Goudreau, Lazar, Monahan, and then Brody, Giordano, Hamilton, and now Mike Smith, which they acquired. They left Brian Elliott available. Michael Stone. That's so hard to pass up right there. It's so hard to pass up a defenseman like Michael Stone. I feel like that's just that's too easy of a pick for Vegas to make on that, and getting another defenseman, Michael Stone. If they wanted to go forward, they have a really good chance of getting one of these two prospects right here. If Calgary wants to make a trade with them to keep their hands off it, but Emile Poirier and Hunter Shinkaruk are both up there available to be chosen. So I think Vegas could get a nice little forward prospect from Calgary if they decide to go that route on forward. But looking at Michael Stone right there, it's really hard to pass up because he's a really good defenseman. All right, the Hurricanes, what we got? Di Giuseppe, Lindholm, Brock McGinn, really. Victor Rask, Skinner, Jordan Stahl, and Teuvo Teravainen. And then Trevor Carrick, Justin Falk, Ryan Murphy, Scott Darling. Okay, so they left Cam Ward and Eddie Lack. They have 4 goalies that are exposed, which is very, very interesting. Actually, I could go zoom in a little bit. Yeah, it's fine. We can stay zoomed out. Let's see. So who's available forward-wise? Nobody really crazy on Carolina. They probably take a forward. They probably take Nestercell or Nordstrom. I predicted that in my mock draft like a while ago in NHL 17 when the game was beginning. Yeah, I think they either take Nestercell or Nordstrom there. I don't really see anything else outstanding. Once again, if they want to take a goalie, go for it. But prospect-wise, there's nothing really great. Hey, Erik Karlsson's there. They didn't protect him. That's unfortunate. Yeah, they probably take Nestercell and Nordstrom. Nothing really too fantastic from Carolina. So Arizona and Carolina are pretty much the two that don't really get away with anything right now. All right, the Blackhawks. So they got Anisimov, Hartman, Hossa, Yurko, Kane, Panic, and Taves. Jalmerson, Keith and Seabrook, and Corey Crawford. Trevor Van Riemsdyk is there. Billy Polka. I don't know why it does that. Billy Polka is there. Chicago is one of the teams that Vegas was talking about of having a trade in place, taking on a guy like Marcus Kruger. Yeah, I think Chicago is going to lose another defensive prospect here of some kind. Probably Polka or Trevor Van Riemsdyk. But there is talks of the Blackhawks having a trade with Vegas done so that somebody stays here, because their players aren't all too crazy, but there is some effect that Chicago has a trade with Vegas, and one of these players is not going to be taken. Probably some low-end player, I would think. Maybe taken on Kruger, I think that was the deal. They give him a draft pick so that they keep TVR and Billy Polka, and they take on Marcus Kruger, but in any case, we'll move on to the Avs here. Edrughetto, Como, Duchesne, Grimaldi, Landeskog, McKinnon, and Matt Nieto. Tyson Barrie, Eric Johnson, Nikita Zaharov, and Semyon Varlamov. Very interesting there. So they're leaving Calvin Pickard available. I feel is a very, very ballsy move for the Avalanche, considering how Varlamov didn't play at all this year. I would have really thought they would have protected Pickard, but it's interesting. Soderberg is available too. That's another very interesting name. A lot of forwards here on the Avalanche. They could take a prospect if they really want to, but there's a lot of decent forwards here. Grigorenko's out there. Soderberg is up there as well, so that's a pretty nice little couple forwards you got. Jelena, Siemens, Patrick Weirkoch up there, and like I said, Calvin Pickard is up there as well. So Avalanche are going to lose somebody decent, but then again, nothing they have to worry about all too crazy. All right, the Blue Jackets. So we know that there's probably a trade here someplace that I've heard. They've talked about sending, I think, Clarkson, a first-round pick, and a prospect so that Vegas doesn't take, I think, one of Josh Anderson, William Karlsson, or was there another person? Or I think maybe even Jonas Korpisalo at some point. But they opted to protect Atkinson, Dubinsky, Foligno, Hartnell, Jenner, Saad, and Wenberg. Jones, Murray, and Savard, and Sergei Bobrovsky. Yeah, there's definitely a trade in there someplace that Clarkson's contract goes to Vegas, along with a first-round pick and a prospect of some sort, their pick of a prospect, in order to keep Anderson, Calvert, Carlson, even Korpisalo at some points. But defensively, I don't think they're going to lose anybody too big. Jack Johnson, his contract's way too big. I don't think that the Vegas Golden Knights would take on that. But they definitely take a forward here of some point if there is no trade that goes through. And they got a pretty nice little choice of Anderson, Calvert, or William Karlsson at some point. So they'll get a nice little forward from Columbus. They're going to miss a pretty decent piece. Dallas Stars, who they got? Ben, Faxa, Nichushkin. Interesting that they chose to protect Nichushkin. I don't know if he has a no-trade clause or not, but that's interesting considering he didn't play at all this year. And I don't think he's going to play at all next year either. Brett Ritchie, Roussel, Tyler Seguin, and Jason Spezza. Steven Johns, John Klingberg, Issa Lindell, and Ben Bishop. Alright, so obviously they have 5 goalies available. I don't see Vegas taking on Lettinen or Niemi. There's better options out there. Alexiak, Patrick Nemeth, and Dan Hamhuis, all available defensively for the Stars. I think Dan Hamhuis had a no-trade clause, but I think he waived it, so I think that's the reason he's up there. Sharp, up there for forwards. Hudler, Hemsky, Cody Eakins up there as well. So there's some decent players that are available for the Dallas Stars. Detroit Red Wings. Abdelkader, Athanasiou, Mantha, Nielsen, Nyquist, Tatar, and Zetterberg, DeKaiser, Green, Jensen, and Jimmy Howard. So Peter Mrazek is out there. Peter Mrazek is out there. Very interesting. Xavier Ouellet out there as well. Nicholas Kronwall up there as well. I think he's a little bit too old. I don't think Vegas will take him. They're focusing really on youth players, so I doubt Kronwall gets taken, even though he's up there. Sheehan, Darren Helm, Martin Ferk, he's a pretty good prospect. Like Luke Glendening up there as well. So that'll be interesting for what Vegas does with Detroit's, because having Peter Mrazek out there is very, 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 I guess, like, it's very convincing, but he didn't play great last year. Jimmy Howard definitely, they did a flip-flop. Mrazek played good the previous year, Howard didn't, and then Mrazek didn't play well this year, Jimmy Howard did. So still, there's some there's some interesting names out there for Detroit. Edmonton, okay, we got Draisaitl, Eberle, Cassian, Letestu, Lucic, Maroon, and Nugent Hopkins, Clefbaum, Larson, Sekera, and Cam Talbot. Alright, who they got available? Andrew Ferentz. Forward-wise, nobody really crazy on Edmonton. Edmonton has a young team, and the players who aren't young, they're already protecting in some fashion. So Edmonton, like Arizona, and I think like Carolina, aren't going to lose anybody too fantastic. They might lose a defenseman if they want to go like a Griffin Reinhart. Oh, Chris Russell's there. I didn't even notice that. They didn't protect Chris Russell? Really? That's interesting. Did they give him just like a contract like 2 years ago at a free agency? That's very interesting that they did not decide to protect Chris Russell. Who'd they protect? Larson, Sekera, Clefbaum. I guess one of these has a no-trade clause in some fashion that they had to protect. But yeah, Chris Russell's up there. That's interesting. Maybe they take that. Who knows? Florida. Okay, Florida I think went with 4 and 4. Yeah, they did. So they took Barkov, Bugstad, Huberdeau, Trocheck, Ekblad, Petrovic, Pissick, Yandel, and James Reimer. So Luongo's up there. Let's see. Kindle, Jason Demers. That's a big name right there. Thomas Vanek, Riley Smith. Riley Smith is up there, and Jonathan Marchessault for the Florida Panthers. I see one of those two guys being taken unless they make a trade with Vegas. They definitely take a forward from Florida. Jussi Jokinen's up there as well. Jaromir Jagr, I doubt they will want to take old man Yogs. Might play till 50, but yeah, I think forward from Florida seems the most reasonable with Riley Smith, Marchessault, or Jussi Jokinen going, unless a trade is made. Alright, the Los Angeles Kings. So they got Carter, Kopitar, Tanner Pearson, Toffoli, Doughty, Forbort, Martinez, Muzzin, and Jonathan Quick. So they went 4 and 4 as well. So they decided to protect 4 defensemen, I think, which makes sense. Braden McNabb is going to probably be taken here. I think it's a really good consensus that Braden McNabb gets taken. Although there are some interesting names up on their forward core, like a Marian Gaborik, Brown wouldn't be taking his contract. Is terrible. Nick Dowd is up there too, so that's interesting. Wasn't there another defenseman up there? Matt Green? No, I guess not. Nick Shore had a decent year. Teddy Purcell up there too. Michael Mersch, Ginla. Yeah, I think Braden McNabb goes from LA. There was no. I think that they opted to protect Forbert. It was between Forbert and McNabb, and they're definitely going to go with Derek Forbert over Braden McNabb. So I think he goes from LA. Minnesota Wild, Charlie Coyle, Granlund, Koivu, Niederreiter, Parise, Pominville, Zucker, Brodin, Spurgeon, Suter, Devin Dubnyk. So we all know what the deal with the Minnesota Wild is right there. They got Matt Dumba right there. They got Marco Scandella right there. And wait a minute, did they opt to protect? Oh, they protected Brodin. Okay. I didn't think they were going to do that. I thought they were going to expose Brodin. So they opted to expose Matt Dumba and Marco Scandella. So that's probably going to be what happens there from the Wild. They left Eric Stahl unprotected, which is very interesting because he had a really good year. Hansel, but I think he's a UFA. Howell is up there as well, but I think the defense from Minnesota Wild is way too good to pass up. They want to protect both Dumba and Scandella, so I think a trade with Vegas, once again, is very, very likely due to the fact that they have those two defensemen available. Alright, Montreal. Byron, Deneau, Drouin, Galchenyuk, Gallagher, Pacioretty, Shaw, Jordy Ben, Petrie, Weber, and Carey Price. So, who's the big names up here on Montreal? Alexei Emlin's there. Radulov, but I think he's a UFA, he only had a one-year deal. Let's see. Anybody else? Theo Rose, Daniel Carr. Yeah, I don't think Montreal loses anything too crazy. Maybe a defenseman, but other than that, I don't think so. Montreal, I think, gets off pretty decent right there. Hudon is available, but then they just give him a contract, so I don't think they'll take him. Unless they signed him a contract so that Vegas will take Hudon, but I don't see it. Montreal's not going to lose anything too crazy there. Nashville, here we go. Look at all those unprotected players on Nashville. My God, there's a ton. Arvidsson, Forsberg, Yarncroc, Johansson, Ekholm, Ellis, Yossi, Subban, Pecorine. So they went 4-4 as well. And let's see who's on their list. Matt Irwin's there. Colin Wilson, Craig Smith, Colton Sissons, James Neal is the big one, and Pontus Aberg is up there in addition. Nashville's losing somebody big, man. It's I don't even know if a trade with Vegas will be able to help them from keeping somebody, because there's way too many names on Nashville's unprotected list. They're losing a key guy here in some fashion. It's either going to be Aberg, it could be James Neal, could be Colton Sissons, could be Austin Watson, Wilson, Irwin, or where's that other defenseman at? Irwin, or no, that was it. Okay, so they opted to protect 4 defensemen. I think they're fine on defense, but yeah, they're losing a forward of some kind here, and it's going to be a really decent forward that they're going to lose. Watson, Wilson, Craig Smith, Colton Sissons, James Neal, or Pontus Aberg. Somebody big is going from Nashville, and it really sucks for them. All right, New Jersey. Let's see. Taylor Hall, Adam Henrique, Paul Mary, Travis Zajac. So they went 4-4 as well in Jersey. Interesting. Andy Green, John Moore, Mirko Mueller, and Damon Severson. Corey Schneider protected. Let's see. Defense. Seth Helgeson's the only name who really speaks out to me right there. Forward-wise, I think they lose a forward. Smith Pelly's out there. Yeah, Vegas is going to take Mark Savard. I think they take Camilleri. I really do. Camilleri is not being protected from New Jersey, so I think that Mike Camilleri probably goes from New Jersey. I think it's the only really decent player that they could take at this point, unless they want to go with a prospect, but other than that, I think Camilleri goes from New Jersey. New York Islanders, they got Andrew Ladd, Anders Lee, John Tavares. Oh wow, they only protected 3 forwards and they went with 5 D-men on New York? Wow, that's interesting. They took Boychuk, Hamnick, Leddy, Pelich, and Pulak, Thomas Greiss protected. That's really interesting that the New York Islanders took. Look at all these forwards that they're exposing. Josh Bailey, Casey Zizekas, Cal Clutterbuck, Nikolai Kuhlman, Brock Nelson, Shane Prince, Ryan Strome. there's a lot of really good forwards from the New York Islanders, but a couple of them do have some really bad contracts, like Zizekas and Clutterbuck, I think are making like $4 million, and they're both fourth liners. So they're definitely losing a forward. I mean, DeHaan's up there too. Thomas Hickey. Anybody else? Seidenberg. Wow, Islanders are losing somebody pretty decent too. Somebody young. If Vegas takes a forward, they're losing a young forward. If they take a defenseman like Hickey or DeHaan, this is still another young defenseman right there. Damn, Islanders got kind of screwed out of that one as well. They opted to protect Anders Lee. That's really interesting. All right, the Rangers, where they got Hayes, Kreider, Miller, Nash, Stepan, Zibanejad, Zuccarello, Holden, McDonough, Stahl, and Henrik Lundqvist. Okay. Let's see. Kevin Klein is there. Oscar Lindberg, Carl Klingberg, Grabner, Jesper Fast is up there. So I think a lot of people were very surprised that they protected Derek Stepan over somebody else from Rangers fans that I saw this morning. I think they were a little bit upset that they decided to keep Stepan over a guy like Oscar Lindberg or Jesper Fast in this case. So maybe a forward goes from the Rangers unless they want to get a really, really good defenseman like Kevin Klein. But I think a forward goes from New York Rangers. Ottawa Senators, they got Brassard, Zingle, Hoffman, Pajot, Smith, Stone, and Turris, CC, Carlson, Phaneuf, and Anderson. Didn't Phaneuf waive? Oh, no. Dion Phaneuf didn't want to waive his no-trade clause, so they had to protect him, which means that Mathot and Wideman are out there for defense. Clayson's up there as well. Forwards, Bobby Ryan. Nobody's going to touch that contract. Anybody else? Burrows. No, I think that's pretty much it. Tommy Wingles is up there too, but yeah, I think Vegas will take a defenseman from Ottawa, either Clayson, Mathot, or Chris Wideman in this case for Vegas. Okay, my boys, Philadelphia. I looked at this list already, so I was a little bit surprised by it. Coots, Flipper, Giroux, Lawton, Shen, Simmons, Voracek, Ghost, Gudas, Brandon Manning, and Anthony Stolarz. So we opted to protect Stoley instead of Neuwirth. Ron Hextall has something up his sleeve, man. I can feel it. Defense, like I said, Delzado's UFA. Eric Wellwood's still on our contract situation. That's funny. So Dale Weiss is out there. Jordan Wheel's out there as well, but he could choose not to sign with Vegas. I think that's the entire plan of it, is that we leave Jordan Wheel unsigned. Vegas wants to try to make a contract with him, but he doesn't want to do that. So I'm pretty sure we're gonna sign Jordan Wheel. He'll be back on our team. Matt Reed is out there. Michael Raffles out there. I'm really surprised by that move. Same thing with Belmar. Well, not Belmar, all 2 cases, but I'm very surprised by Michael Raffle. He was injured all year, and that's interesting that they protected Scott Lawn. I don't know what this organization's obsession with Scott Lawn is. Yeah, he had a really good year in the AHL, but he's not that good. I don't understand why they're so high on Scott Lawton. Even though, like I said, like they feel like he can be a goal scorer, but I just don't see it, man. I really don't see it. Even though we had a decent AHL year last year, I don't see it. That's very odd that they opted to protect Lawton. Brandon Mann, I guess was their only decision right there at defense. I would have thought Andrew McDonald, just because how much Hextall and freaking Hackstall love this guy, and I know his contract's bad, and I understand why he probably got left out there, unless Vegas wants to take that terrible contract, but I felt like that was surprising. And Stolarz is protected, so Michael Neuwirth is up there with a decently 2-year contract on Neuwirth, so it's a very interesting list out there. Hopefully Vegas takes somebody off of us. It's probably going to be Michael Raffle, I would assume. I don't think they would touch Dale Weiss or anything of that sort. Maybe Neuwirth. I'd be surprised if they took Neuwirth, but who knows. All right, Pittsburgh. Crosby, Hornquist, Kessel, Malkin, Dumoulin, Letang, Mata, Schultz, Matt Murray. I'm pretty sure everybody knows that Pittsburgh is going to take Marc-Andre Fleury. I mean, Vegas is going to take Marc-Andre Fleury. I really don't think there's anything else that they need to worry about. Although for the fact that they did expose, who'd they expose? They exposed Kunitz and Brian Rust. But I still don't think that's enough for Vegas to convince them to not take Marc-Andre Fleury. Pretty sure we all know Marc-Andre Fleury is going to Vegas at this point. All right, San Jose Sharks. Ryan Carpenter, Logan Couture, Yannick Hansen, Tomas Hertl, Melker Karlsson, Joe Pavelski, Chris Tierney, Braun, Burns, Vlasic, Jones. Who the hell is Ryan Carpenter? Who in the living hell is Ryan Carpenter that they decided to protect from San Jose? I have no idea. I'll have to look that up after this video, because or San Jose fans, let me know in the comments down below who the heck this Ryan Carpenter guy is. It's very interesting. I think Aaron Dell maybe as like a third goaltender. Brendan Dillon is there. Joel Ward, Thornton, Marlowe are there. But they're, like I said, they're getting old. Bodker is an interesting name too. I know his contract isn't the greatest, but he's a speedster, speedy player. Might be interested in Vegas, and he's still fairly young. I think he's under 30. So, some interesting things from San Jose Sharks. But who the hell is Ryan Carpenter? Who the hell is that? St. Louis Blues. Berglund, Reeves, Schwartz, Sabatka, Stastny, Steen, Tarasenko, Bouwmeester, Edmondson, Pietrangelo, Jake Allen. I was gonna say, where the fuck is Parayko? But he doesn't have to be protected. Let's see, defensively, anybody on St. Louis? Not that I really see, other than Lindbaum. I know he's a decent prospect. Forward-wise, Tyrati, Perron, Payarvi, Laterra. It's probably one of those guys who I just named right there, even though Andrew Agozzino had a very good forward year, just because I know he's got a Team of the Year card. Or was it Kenny Agozzino? I don't know. They have Agostino or Agostino. I forget which one of the... Well, one of these two guys had a really good year that got him a Team of the Year card and forget NHL, but I'm pretty sure one of those guys who I just named is either going to be Laterra, Payarvi, Perron, or Tyrati that goes forward-wise, or maybe even now Yakupov too, who knows. Defensively, there's nobody really that great, and goaltenders, there's nobody fantastic either. Tampa Bay, this list is very, very big for unprotected players. Callahan, Johnson, sucks that Callahan couldn't waive it, because he has a no movement clause. Johnson, Killorn, Kucherov, Nemestikov, Palat, and Stamkos, Coburn, Hedman, Strawman, Vasilevsky. Goaltenders, they have the Latvian killer right there, Christos Guzlevics, who is available. Schuster, Cuckoo, Garrison, Jake Dotchin, all available on defense for these guys. Forwards, Cedric Paquette. Anybody else? Conacher, JT Brown. Yeah, probably one of those defensemen from Tampa, or a goalie if they want to go Christos Guzlevics. I don't see it though, but probably Schuster, Cuckoo, or Garrison or Dotchin goes in our defense from Tampa Bay. Seems to make sense. There's nobody go forward wise who I really see that's great, other than Cedric Paquette, who's decent. Is a decent forward, but nobody is like a bottom six forward, I think. So I think defense maybe goes from Tampa. Toronto, this list is going to look terrible. Bozak, Brown, Kadri, Komarov, Levo, Matt Martin, and JVR, Connor Carrick, Gardner, Morgan Riley, Frederick Anderson. I have no idea who Vegas. Pick your poison from Toronto, because there's nobody great. Nobody great at all. Marinson, maybe Hunwick. Forward-wise, they do have Kirby Reichel if they want to take like a forward prospect again. Griffith, Colin Greening. Yeah, pass over Toronto. Toronto's not losing anybody fantastic from this list. Vancouver, they got Berchi, Louis Eriksson, Granlund, Horvat, and both Sedins and Sutter. Edler, Gabranson, Tanev, and Jacob Markstrom. So Spies is up there. Forward-wise, Vancouver has nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry about at all. And Washington before Winnipeg, so Backstrom, Burakovsky, Eller, Johansson, Kuznetsov, Ovechkin, Wilson, Carlson, Niskanen, Orlov, and Brandon Holtby. Grubauer's right there. I think that's another good option for goaltenders. Shattenkirk, if they want to go ahead and sign him to bring him on. Alsner's there. 2. Forward-wise, Oshiba's UFA. Yeah, I don't think Washington has that much to worry about. I don't think they're going to lose anybody crazy. Alsner and Orpik are there, but their contracts aren't the greatest. Nate Schmidt, too. So I think Grubauer goes, though, from Washington, in my personal opinion, to get that another prospect goaltender in there, in addition to having your backup. So Grubauer could probably be the backup, and then they pick another goalie as like a prospect goalie, but I think Grubauer probably goes from Washington. And then Winnipeg finally rounding it off. They got Armia, Kopp, Little, Lowry, Perreault, Scheifele, Wheeler, Buffalo, Myers, Trouba, and Hellebuck. So they opted to protect Connor Hellebuck, not Michael Hutchinson. Anybody for defense from these guys? Toby Enstrom waived his no-trade clause, so he becomes available. And that's pretty much it, other than Marco Dano. So I don't think Winnipeg loses anything too crazy here, unless they could take Toby Enstrom, does Vegas, but I don't see any Winnipeg losing anything else either. So that's all the lists there, guys. Link is in the description if you want to go check it out for yourself to, you know, dive in deeper on these lists. Some teams don't lose anything. Some teams don't lose really much anything, but some teams will lose some very, very significant roster players on their team. So let me know what you guys think of this list. I'm going to be doing the mock draft probably tomorrow or later today. So keep clued into the YouTube today to see when they might do that. I'll set up all this lists using the protected players to fill out the lists, and then I'll make my picks once again. Even though I made some picks in here, I'll do an actual one in the mock draft video. So thank you guys for watching. Leave your let me know what you guys think down below for your favorite team, if you're surprised that they opted to protect somebody and not protect another person. And I'll see you guys hopefully later on today with the mock draft. So leave a like, comment, subscribe as always. See you guys later. Peace.